Hey guys, so today I'm going to be doing another Q&A video, and this one is going to be all about fashion school. So similar to the last Q&A, I asked you guys some questions on TikTok, and you guys had a lot of questions that you kind of wanted to hear me answer. So I'm going to be trying to answer as many of those today as I can, just because I did get a lot and I want this to be helpful to you guys in some way, hopefully. But if you guys have any other questions that you want a more in-depth video on, feel free to comment down below and let me know, and I will hopefully get to do that. So let's go ahead and get started. So I currently go to LAM College in New York City, and I am a fashion marketing major with a minor in visual studies. I'm currently a junior, so I will be graduating in May of 2022. So that was kind of one of the basic questions I just kind of wanted to tell you guys before we start getting into it. I got a lot of questions on why I decided to go to fashion school. Did I ever kind of second guess that opportunity and that chance for me, and kind of the journey of how I knew I wanted to go to fashion school? I've always been kind of a very decisive person. I'm one of those people who am very type A, so I kind of like to plan things out. So I knew I wanted to go to fashion school pretty early, probably since like 8th grade maybe. That was just because I was always interested in fashion, and it was something that I loved. I loved, picking out outfits for people and styling people. Obviously just like my family and friends, of course, but it was just something that I found super interesting. And I also took a lot of sewing classes in middle school and high school, and that kind of opened up the idea to me as well. But I remember my dad came to me and he was like, you know that you can combine fashion and business together, because I always have also had a very business oriented mind. And he was like, you can do that. There's such a thing called fashion business. And that kind of blew my mind, and I was like, oh my gosh. And that's kind of when I knew that that's what I wanted to do. So that was probably around 8th grade. I can't draw to save my life. I can't sketch. I'm not a great sewer. I'm very, very elementary level sewer. So since then, that's kind of when I knew that fashion was the path that I kind of wanted to go down. And then kind of going off, the second part of that question was, did you ever question your choice or anything like that? I never did. I don't know, it could be a personality thing where I was very set and determined to do kind of what I set my mind to, but I never had any doubts of, is this going to be a good fit for me? Am I going to like it? That kind of thing. I knew that this was kind of my calling and this is what was best for me, so I just kind of decided to go and run with it. Okay, so a lot of other questions kind of talked about the process, what other schools I applied to, how did I get in, did I do anything in high school to kind of build up my college resume in a sense. I actually only applied to 2 schools. I lived in Pittsburgh at the time, so I wanted to stay relatively close to my family just because I am still very close with my family. So I only applied to LIM College and then Kent State University in Ohio. And they have a really good fashion program. It's one of the second best, I think, in America. So definitely look at that if you don't want to go to any big city or anything. There is many amazing fashion schools all around the world and all around America. I know University of Georgia has a fashion program, FSU does, I think. Pretty sure Auburn does. Obviously FIDM in LA, FIT, things like that. So there's obviously a lot, and more as the years go by, more colleges are kind of expanding into that. So definitely do your research and, see what, would work best for you if you kind of want that real college campus experience. I definitely think New York City is not going to give you that, so maybe you don't want to go there. But I knew for me, I wanted to be in a big city. That's kind of where I thrive. I get most of my motivation through city life and things like that. So I definitely knew I wanted to be in a big city, so I kind of narrowed it down to 2. And at the time, when I was applying to colleges, I had a lot of personal things going on with my health and mental health and things like that. So I knew that I couldn't handle being really far away from home. So that's kind of why I kind of stayed in the northeastern part of America. I was a good student. I was an A, B, sometimes C student when it came to science. I played volleyball for the first, I think, 2 years of high school. I don't really remember, honestly. It might have just been 1 year. I wasn't like a big extracurricular gal. I was in Future Business Leaders of America all 4 years of high school, so that was FBLA. So I was in that as like my club, and then that's kind of all I did for extracurricular things. We didn't have a fashion club like that or anything at my school, so if we did, I would obviously, be a part of that because that sounds amazing, but we didn't have that. So I really honestly kind of did all of my work outside of school and kind of tried my best to build up my resume in a sense like that. I worked retail for 3.5 years throughout high school. So I worked at Madewell. I got to do things like I was an assistant visual merchandiser for a while, so I got to help with things like rollout and styling clients and things like that. But that's really all I did. Wasn't really like super into clubs and stuff like that. So I really just worked retail and I tried my best in school. And I really think they're not looking at the grades. I think they're looking more as you as a person. And I did an interview, so I think that definitely helped me also, just because I knew I'm kind of better like in person and kind of I just like knocked this whole thing behind me. Better in person and kind of face-to-face contact. I feel like that allows counselors to kind of get a better grasp of who you are, not just seeing a name on a paper. So I definitely think that helps me. But you do whatever your heart desires in high school. If you guys have a fashion club, that would be awesome to like join that. If you have like a business club, do that too. Like just do whatever you think is best for you and what you enjoy. So another question that I got asked a lot is my plans for after college. So kind of what the career path that I'm leaning towards is. And there's a lawnmower going off, so we love that. It's very loud and it's like 5 houses down, so sorry about that, bros. So honestly, I don't know. I have no idea. Obviously I'm a marketing major, so somewhere in that realm. I have a few ideas I would love. I'm really interested in trend forecasting and things like that. Also brand managing. I'm keeping it honestly open, and I think having marketing as my major personally was a smart decision for me, just because it is so broad. Marketing is kind of something that can be applied obviously to like all industries. I'm kind of leaving that up in the air. I'm open to a lot of things. Currently I do have my own business and things like that, so I would love to expand that. I don't know. I honestly have no idea. Something in the marketing field. That could be, being a marketing director for a brand, social media, things like that. It could really be anything. So kind of leaving it open, especially with COVID. I know things are obviously a lot harder to get jobs, so I'm kind of just leaving that up to what comes to me. Okay, so someone asked, is the workload / academics easier compared to regular colleges and universities? So I personally don't know. I've never transferred. I've only been to LIM through my whole college experience, but I do have a lot of friends who obviously don't go to fashion colleges, and talking with them and things like that, I think it honestly is on par. But we still have to take stats classes, we still have to take accounting and finance. I don't want to say yes or no just because I personally haven't experienced it, but fashion school isn't easy, and I think from an outsider perspective, I kind of get the impression that they're like, oh, well, since you're in fashion school, like it's easier, right? Like you don't have to try as hard. Like it's all relative, and I would do awful, doing like biology or something. It's not easy. We do have a lot of work. It's very work-based, so you have to get 3 internships throughout your time at school, and each one requires 1,000 hours each. And then your senior year, you do your senior co-op, which is basically working that whole last semester. It's not easy. There's parts of it that are easy and there's parts of it that are hard. So it's kind of really up in the air on that point. Okay, so someone asked, is it hard to apply and what type of scholarships are available? So I know FAFSA is available, obviously that's kind of I think an American thing, but it also depends upon your state. So definitely research based upon state by state. When I went to LIM college, I did get a scholarship just solely based upon my academics. So I also think that could be, I don't know if that's just for LIM. I know my sister got academic scholarships also, and she transferred to two other schools, like two other state schools in Florida and then one in Pennsylvania. So definitely I think academic scholarship is very common, and then maybe just applying for, if you're like a really good writer, they have scholarships like that. So definitely just do some research and kind of see what best fits for you and what you qualify for. Someone asked, what are some tips that will help with beginners? Do you make good money, and which are the best fashion careers? Let's start with, do you make good money? Obviously, this is kind of a relative question. It really just depends. It depends on what segment of fashion you go into, what company you work for. If you work for a bigger company, obviously you might be having a larger salary, or a smaller company might lead to a smaller salary. It really just depends. I know in New York City, the the normal starting salary for people in my industry is definitely a lot higher compared to, if you were working in like Pennsylvania or Georgia or something, but that also is because the cost of living is higher. I don't know if that was helpful at all. I feel like I didn't even answer the question, but hopefully that helped. So what are some tips for beginners? Definitely, as I mentioned before, kind of working retail, I think that's really important. I think that's honestly one of the best preparation tools that you could do for yourself. I know for me that really helped me. So which are the best fashion careers? So this is also a very broad question, and there's no answer because there's no best or worst, but I definitely think people, when you say fashion, they automatically think designers, when in reality the fashion industry is so much bigger and so much more than that. So I know some very common fashion jobs to get after college are being a buyer. Obviously, a lot of people like to work as managers for big retail stores, trend forecasting, social media director, brand director, an advertising manager or marketing manager. You could have someone on your team that kind of consults and helps with certain things such as like sustainability practices, things like that. You could also consult privately and help people kind of revamp their brand image and things like that. Literally, options are endless. I don't think there's a good or bad career. I think it depends on what you want to do and what you're good at and what your giftedness is at. And in college, you definitely are exposed to those possible career opportunities just through, your relationships with your professors, what they teach you, the internships that you get. You kind of get to learn what you like and what you don't like. And I think that is very helpful in finding a career that best suits you. So I got a lot of questions about fashion internships, kind of what to expect, how do you get them, things like that. So interning is one of the most valuable experiences. You could have worked for someone that knows someone that needs, someone who's great at social media, and they can recommend you for the position and you end up getting the position. Most often your internships are found through networking rather than just straight up applying for internships. I have done one internship and I'm in the process of doing another one. So my first internship, as I mentioned before, was retail, and I did over 1,000 hours of retail service because I did do it for 3 years. So that was my first internship. So I did qualify out of internship 1 at LIM college. I'm in the process of internship 2 right now. And currently internship 2, I am doing TikTok as my internship, just as from an entrepreneurial standpoint. So that's going to be my internship 2, and then we need one more our senior year during the last semester, and that's going to be your senior co-op. And I think for that I will definitely be doing something corporate. It's one of those things where it's a lot of work and interns normally aren't paid, but it's gonna help you learn so much. Internships have taught me, honestly, more than like learning in the book and learning in school has taught me, just because it's real life experience that you have to apply and problem solve and things like that. So someone asked, what cool and interactive events does fashion school offer for students? So right now with COVID, obviously things have been on a pause, so all of the interactive events kind of have shifted to virtual or have been postponed. My school does offer a lot of events, I will say. We do things such as career fairs, sustainability summits. You know, we have guest speakers all the time come and do Q&As, like really amazing, reputable people in the fashion industry come. And I did a lot of them freshman year. You also can volunteer at Fashion Week. I did that freshman year. Are the people in the fashion industry nice? So I wanted to touch on this just because I think being in fashion school, of course in New York City, and just the fashion industry in general, is a very, very romanticized idea. You know, we have so many movies made about it, like The Devil Wears Prada, things like that. It's a very glamorized industry, and I don't want people to go into the fashion industry just because of what they hear and what they see about it on movies or television. The fashion industry is an extremely hard industry to work in. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, and I'm not going to make it seem like it's perfect, because it's not. Of course, you're going to have some nice, sweet, and amazing people, but there's also going to be people who are very, very harsh, very blunt, very hard to work for, oftentimes can be mean. You really have to learn to not take things personally, because, you know, there are times where you're going to be yelled at, you're gonna mess up, and you're gonna be held accountable for that. So I really think that's something that people need to kind of put in mind. Honestly, there's moments where it is like The Devil Wears Prada, where people are screaming and throwing things at you. But of course, with the bad, there is good, and I've met, obviously, all of the people that I've met at my school are my closest friends, and I love them dearly, and my professors, for the most part, are all wonderful, and I've built great relationships with them, and they are in the fashion industry. They've worked in the fashion industry. It's obviously a toss-up. It really depends on, you know, what company you work for, who you work for, but I just kind of want to get that idea across. That being said, I don't regret my decision to be in the fashion industry whatsoever. I'm very happy with this decision. I don't regret it. I don't have any desire to change my major, to change schools. I've never really had that thought. There are times where it is really hard, and you think like, can I do this? Like, am I cut out for this? And that's okay. I just want to let you guys know that, and also let you know that you're not alone. If like you're currently in fashion school and you feel the same way, it's very, very common. So just remember that, and I just want to be very transparent on that regard. Okay guys, so that is all of the questions that I'm going to be answering today. Let me know if this was helpful. Let me know if you want to see another video, what kind of videos you want to see from me. Thank you guys again so much for asking questions and being so supportive. I love you so much, more than words will ever convey. So yeah, I will see you guys next time.